Hi, Masa speaking. Become a tough negotiator with comic books. Interpersonal mentalizing skills. Why should I care about negotiation? First of all, salary. It's pretty obvious. You might have an exact same year of work experience with somebody. You guys even went to the same schools. But it still makes a difference when it comes to how much you get paid from your workplace. For example, you are an engineer, software engineer, and make about $100,000 a year, which is already a lot. And you see a video like this, how I negotiated my $350,000 Facebook offer. It's like, wow, right? That's more than 3 times that you make. How did this guy make so much money? That's all coming down to negotiation. You might scratch your head. How is it possible? It's a popular topic. Books about negotiation topics comes a lot on the top shelves in the business section. In fact, in Amazon, there are 7,000 results just by typing negotiation. It's very popular. So you might want to sell products, presentation, or your ideas. That you need the negotiation skills often. When you think about presentation, you might want to come up with the idea with your boss before crafting the presentation. And that does come down to negotiation. And proposal. You know, it's a marriage situation here. It's a bit of a jump, but when you want to have a romantic relationship with somebody, you just don't want to speak it out. One-way communication, you want to make it into two-way commitment. So coming down to your private household, what's happening is women still handle most of the household work. So there's a study here, wife does 1.9 times more household work than the husband, based on this study. So you might want to talk with him how to divide the work and ask them to clean the dishes afterwards or take the kids to schools. This study is done by parents, so I guess a lot of work involved around kids. But you might not know how to talk the situations out without getting into tense conflict. You will need a lot of interpersonal skills here. But then like sales, there are a lot of techniques out there, how to talk about it, these little tactics. But in the real life, there is so much emotional intensity and pressure that it's hard to execute those tactics, and we might all forget about it. And you will need a lot of experience, real life experience, to get better, but we cannot afford it often. For example, like talk with proposal situation, or when it's a tense situation, make or fail situation, we want to practice it beforehand. And of course, rejection sucks. Nobody likes to be rejected. And if you can practice it beforehand, the better that is. That's why we want to practice it. So what is the research saying? Empathy and interpersonal mentalizing in ethics education. So this study is done by New Mexico State University in 2016. They gathered 312 undergrad students in marketing and sales. They got students from USA as well as UAE, that's where Dubai is, in case you don't know, to represent different cultural practices. So they didn't want to make something applicable only to this particular culture. It's to show it's universally applicable, this experiment. And these cultural differences impact your decision making, loyalty with your boss or teamwork, or your co-workers, and negotiation with your potential customers. And they measured empathy and interpersonal mentalizing skills beforehand. What they are, they're basically coming down to 4 skills: rapport, nonverbal, body shape, Rapport, you probably know, it's about making a connection with your customer or anybody and gaining likability. So maybe asking, hey, how are you doing today? Small talk often. It helps in building emotional connection. Non-verbal, so picking up non-verbal cues. The famous one is that person imitating your hand gesture, then that means he or she is on board with whatever you're saying. Board eye is bringing additional background information when the customer don't understand. So it's more like taking the perspective from the customer and see if he's following your presentation or idea. So you will notice if you lost him or not. And you can help him come back with additional info. Shape, it's basically you are directing the conversation to a more positive way. So if you find that person is being angry, you can ask why and try to lift up the mood overall. So you're not afraid to intervene and not to get stuck in this one-size-fits-all type of negotiation style. So what they've done is they trained people with graphic novel. It took one class, about 1 to 2 hours, I imagine. They didn't specify it. They read sales-related comic. So there are 3 bribery-related case studies. For example, there was a marketing research firm. He was sending out excessively about the gift to the potential research candidates. It was getting accelerated. So it started off with small gift to more like fancy travel package to Mexico and Cancun. Like who wouldn't like that? But the line gets closed. It's considered bribery or understood practice in business. After reading this comic, they were asked to answer these questions related to ethics mostly. After that, they also had a group discussion based on what they've read and experienced before. What did they think about it? So the issue in hand is bribery and also legal versus ethic. If it's legal, can you do it? Or is there a line that you shouldn't cross for ethical reasons? And they measured that empathy and interpersonal mentalizing skills afterwards, and they all boosted scores. And the researchers explained that those visual cues in graphic novels helped in understanding the complex situation. So you see the sweat coming down from the face or forehead from that nervous salesman. It's his first job at work, maybe. Or you see the dollar signs shining through in the eyes. And when you have the big customers who is interested in your product, you want to get that money even if you deviate from the ethical guideline. And because these graphic novels have just pieces of drawings, you have to fill out what's happening in between the lines. So it helps you understand the story and bigger context of what's happening. It helps you fill out the gap. For example, you are undertaking someone else's client in the middle, you have to fill out the gap, how much they've talked, and you have to imagine what that customer wants right now. Did he change his mind because 10 months have passed, for example? I've done sales before. It was selling high-speed internet at an electronics store. It was years ago, and no training was provided. Only guideline I got was to go talk to everybody in the store, which didn't help, obviously. I was so stressed all the time. I was this guy with sweat, nervous all the way. What's happening? Like, I know how to start talking with people, but when they give me a question, I have no idea what to answer, so I get panicked. Yeah, it wasn't a pleasant experience. I was a negotiation newbie. And again, it's a story in general, so when you read story, it helps us explore emotionally charged topics in a unique and reality-separated environment. So what that means is, again, the situation can be tense. That person might be angry, or they are acting angry and they want a ridiculous discount, or they might blame you for something you're not responsible for. For example, a product arrived late, even though that was completely the fault of delivery companies, something like that. Ethical questions are not black and white, unlike those math questions. It's not like 1 + 1 = 2. It's just so hard to understand. So that's why it's important to mentally exercise what's going to happen, possibly, and figure out your answer. For example, corporate profit versus customer benefit. Should you follow the corporation guideline? Stick with the rules, even though you know this particular situation can be exceptional. The best part about this exercise is you can prepare it beforehand without having any financial consequence or reputational consequence for that sake. You can read however much you want. So what can you do with this knowledge? Graphic novel used in this exercise. I'm gonna put the links in the descriptions. I read it myself. It's quite short. You will take probably only 10 minutes to read through all 3. It's developed by that same university, New Mexico State University. And yeah, it's interesting. And this is just an example. So this guy is selling healthcare products or medical equipment to Croatia. He was giving all these gifts to doctors in Croatia, but later found out that all hospitals in Croatia are government agencies, and it's considered bribery and illegal to give gifts to government agencies. Later, he thought it was a conventional practice to give gifts to get this high-stake sales. He gets into trouble. It was short but quite engaging. So the questions would be, is it the companies responsible for not educating him of all the local laws, or how much he should give it out to the doctors? And then would you, if it were for you, would you have sent these gifts to the hospitals? These are just small comic books that are developed to train MBA students, but they are popular books about business. I'm gonna go through a few that I found. So, How to Master the Art of Selling. It's about sales, obviously, human interaction, long tail. They're all famous business books. It's also about sales, and but it's more on the pricing of your product and strategy or positioning. The topic is about, in the modern days, you should focus on a niche market and sell it higher with higher profit. The Art of War, it's about strategy. I would say it's very brutal. As I imagine many of you know, the book is from more than 2,000 years ago, from ancient China, and it's all about deceiving your enemies and how not to disclose your information while researching everything about that guy. It's very competitive. Overachievement. It's about boosting your performance at work. 80-20 principle. It's about productivity. 20% of your work brings 80% of the value. That's what it's saying. Eat That Frog. It's another productivity book. It's about doing the hardest task in the very beginning of your morning, just like you have to eat the frog every morning. So reading all these comic books, while reading, we get very engaged and stories are entertaining, it grips your imagination. But often answers are provided by the author, which is not as beneficial in this stimulating your mental skill. So afterwards or in between, that's the best. Every end of chapter or even every page, you can think, oh, what would you do? Like, did I experience similar situation before? Do I know somebody who is like this? Those questions help us prepare the real situation that might come again in the future. Does my conversation style fit with great salesman technique described in this book? when I have great idea, who should I hide it from, or should I share it with everybody? How do I decide who to share it with? Did I slack off this morning like this character in the frog because I was lazy and not doing enough work? These questions help us prepare it. Of course, it has more business context here, but specifically in negotiation, you should focus on the conversation and the personal and the persons you know. You can reflect the situation with the interaction you had before. So thanks for watching. If you liked it, please hit like or subscribe. In this channel, I'm making videos to improve your life with these scientific findings. Most of them are new, brand new. And don't forget to check out Kaffae Extension, boost your memory from reading and enhance critical thinking, and discover your internal value with self-reflection. It's very easy and free. So see ya. Bye.